Hello, my name is Catalina Herrera. Welcome to the Spotfire workshop for energy, and we're going to work with different data set examples. All the data we are going to be working with is either from a public source or it has been manipulated or is mimic data for us to accomplish this series of exercises. So the first exercise is to build a dashboard that looks like the one that I'm showing in the screen right now. We are going to accomplish 3 different tasks here. Number 1, we're going to be able to create a user interface, a very simple one for this example, where the final user will be able to select a time range for the data to be displayed, or a specific category, in this case wells, to be displayed as well, and use of different filters like the ones that you have on the left. So if you want to focus on a specific fluid like oil, just visualize oil data, or just visualize shale gas, or so on. So in addition to that, we're going to learn how to build basic visualizations in Spotfire, like the KPIs, the combination chart of the cross tables that within the proper context can provide a lot of value for somebody that is analyzing this information. In addition to that, we're going to learn a couple of tricks for the mapping characteristics in Spotfire. We're going to visualize the wells in geographical context, and we're also going to learn how to add extra information like satellite images and how to transform the data to have this kind of visualizations and so on. So let's go ahead and start. Okay, so the first step is to load the data in Spotfire. There are many ways to do so. You can click on the plus and select different options here, or you can simply drag and drop. So we're going to start with the table called WS data-eng-ipcsv. Just drag and drop, let go. You see Spotfire is recognizing the table, allowing you to do modifications if needed, but in this case it's coming clean. Just click OK, OK, and now you have data loaded in Spotfire. How do you know you have data loaded in Spotfire? Look at your corner to the right and you see you have over 10,000 rows and 16 columns already loaded. If you want to visualize the table, just go ahead and click on your visualization type on the left panel and bring the table to the canvas. Okay, so stage 1 is for us to get familiar with the data that we're going to be working with. In this specific example, we have mimic data coming from multiple wells that also has geographical information to it and some production information to it for different types of fluid. So we're going to work with this data to start with. So step 1, just notice in Spotfire you can create as many pages as you need to whenever you need to. So if you need to start over and come here and you want to start from 0, just come here and add the visualizations that you want to add and move them around. Now also keep in mind that from the left panel you also have access to the data canvas. The data canvas is going to show you pretty much all the behind the scenes into the data that you need to create the dashboard. So a lot of the dashboards out there require multiple data sources from different places. So at the end you're going to have a list here that is going to have multiple of these data sources. So each of these data tables is going to have information related to it. If it is being transformed, it's going to show you the entire transformation that happened. Spotfire is going to allow you to add rows, add columns, or add all kinds of transformations at multiple parts of the data flow. And at the end, our goal is to ensure that we have a set of data that is clean enough and ready for us to work on. So we're going to focus on the analytics side of it. We're going to focus on representing this data in a way that is easy to read for a regular user and that provides valuable insights and information. So step 1, we're going to start with KPIs. So go to the left, go to KPI chart, select it, and see how Spotfire auto-populates the first visualization. Now, I like the fact that it's showing the different fluid categories that we have, gas versus oil versus shale gas. We want to keep that, but we want to show different information. I want to show the count of the wells that I have for each of the categories. So I want to be able to configure this visualization. Different ways to get to the property menu. One super quick one is right click of the mouse properties, but it is also available from this little guy over here. So also click over there and you will see the same menu as in you do right click of the mouse. Okay, so now we're gonna configure this visualization. Every visualization in Spotfire is gonna have a very similar menu. In this case, we're gonna go to the settings for the KPIs, and you will see here kind of the basics. General shows you a little bit of what is the name of the visualization you're creating, where it's coming from, what other kind of data characteristics it has, how it looks, as in can you configure things like include origin, show scale, and things like that. The formatting is the formatting, and you will see this common for many visualizations in Spotfire, where you can control a lot of the look and feel of the visualization. We're going to focus on the values right now because the values are going to allow us to configure the display in the way that we want it. So we want to focus on what do we want on the y-axis. First of all, I'm going to remove this line because I don't like it, and right now I don't need it. So I'm just going to go ahead here and say remove, and I'm going to focus on a number only. And the number I want to focus on is on the total of wells that I have for each of those categories. So I'm going to say simply UWI, that is the well ID, just count the number of wells that I have for each category. How I am saying each category, that is right here. Tile by fluid, where fluid is giving me the 3 categories that I have. Okay, so now I have the information that I wanted. Now, I don't like this name here, unique count. That doesn't really tell me what it is. I just want to go ahead and control that name. So right click of the mouse, I'm going to do it again. Right click of the mouse, custom expressions. In this menu is you're going to find a lot of options. We're going to cover different topics at different stages depending on what is it that we are trying to do. But good thing to know at this point is that Spotfire is extremely robust into the expressions that you can build and write for each of the visualizations to ensure that you are showing exactly what I want to show, exactly the way that you want to show it. So Spotfire is going to allow you to transform the data any way you need to, and to create any interaction between your data tables, your data columns, and so on, to ensure that mathematically you are representing what you want to represent. Spotfire is gonna also allow you to receive different document properties and so on, because it's very extendable and you can always go beyond the out-of-the-box capabilities and build your own visualizations using a JavaScript framework, or extending the general usage of what the application that you are building using Iron Python or other techniques out there. So in this specific case, what we want to do is to change the name of the KPIs, and for that I'm gonna just simply change the display name and force it to be number of wells. Click OK, and now you have exactly what you want. I also want the colors to be more like standard. Here, notice how you can actually have many options to define how you want to show these columns. This is very useful when you are trying to set alerts and things. Just FYI, Spotfire also receives streaming information. So you can have a mix of tables that are static versus streaming. And these kind of options becomes very handy when you want to show alerts and things like that. In this case, I want to keep this fixed, and I want to control the color, and I want to say the color is this dark blue. Okay, there you go. Now we are ready to move on to our second visualization. The second visualization is going to be the combination chart. So we're going to go to the left visualization type, and we're going to pick combination chart to work next. The first thing that we're going to do is to change the x-axis. So we're going to have a trend that is showing how much our business has been growing. So how many wells do we have today or a couple of years ago versus 10 years ago and things like that. So you can see a trend. And we also want to add production on top of that. So we're going to have a combination chart. First things first, let's go ahead and do production date here. Now notice how when Spotfire identifies a date as a column type, automatically is going to give you this kind of menus where you're going to be able to pretty much group the information as the level of detail as you need to. In this case, I'm going to keep it big picture. I'm going to keep it year. The second thing that is going to happen is that we'll need to start adding other visualizations here. So the first one that we want for sure is the number of wells. So just count how many wells in total, so we can see how this has been growing in the last years. We also know that the information, for example, this is another cleaning option, data wrangling, data cleaning. When I see things like that, I know that this data is wrong. I know that it was a row that had no year, it has no proper information, so this data is not worth it for me to have. I'm just gonna go ahead and delete it. Literally, I'm just click it. Spotfire tells me that I have 16 columns, 10 rows that have been marked and that I don't want. Therefore, I'm gonna click delete on my keyboard. Spotfire is gonna verify with me and I'm say okay. So I have a cleaner bar chart here. Okay, now I'm gonna add a couple of trends here. I want my production of oil. I want my production of condensate crude, and I want my production of gas. Okay, so I have everything that I want, but this is looking ugly, right? I want this to be representing the data in the proper format. We are mixing here apples with bananas, and we want to ensure that we group everything based on the category. So I'm gonna group the unique count is gonna be my only bar, and yes, I can keep it in a darker blue. And then I wanna start creating trends. So my production lines are gonna be trends. So this is gonna be a line. This one is for oil. I wanna keep oil red. Then I'm gonna have my condensate crude also as a line, and I'm gonna keep it yellow. And then I'm gonna have my gas also as a line, but I'm gonna make it a little darker green. Okay, now anytime that you need to change this, remember also you can have access to the properties that has very similar menu to the one that we already saw. But in this one you have the x-axis different from the y-axis, where you can do other things like showing grid lines and things like that. This is going to allow you to make a visualization that is nice looking. At the same time, I'm going to format all these numbers because I hate seeing this amount of zeros here. So I'm just going to ensure that I have a number, yes, but I don't want to see any decimals. And I also want to see this in a small format so it's easier to read. Now, what's going on here is that I have a mix of very different amounts of numbers here. I have trends for production that go all the way to the millions, and then I have counts of wells that are not even close to that number. So for this data set. So I want to ensure that I can have multiple scales. And I want to also define which scale to keep where. So for that, I'm going to go to my y-axis, and here I'm just going to ensure that I have multiple scales. Therefore, I can have the possibility to organize them. So I'm going to keep my count on the left axis, and that's the only one that is going to be on the left axis. And then everything else is going to be production. Therefore, everything else, I want to have it on my right axis. There you go. Okay, so now we have a visualization. I'm going to make this a little darker. Now we have a visualization that is giving me what I want. I have the quantity of wells per year. I also have the production trends. Okay, so congratulations. You have completed the first half of the creation of this dashboard. We're going to continue the next half on the next video.